So the time has finally come. You've spent months sowing seeds and nurturing those tiny little seedlings, keeping them alive, making sure they're healthy to get to this point. And this, I know because loads of you have told me, is the scary part that's worrying you right now. It's getting these little seedlings outdoors. So today then, I'm going to take you guys through something called hardening off. That just means getting your little plants ready to go in their final home safely. And that's the trick. So let's talk about what it is, why you might want to do it, how you would do it, and when you would do it, so that you can start thinking about this if it's time for you. The basics of what we're going to talk about is simply that we need to get plants that have been grown in one environment and have got used to that environment, used to another environment, so that they can be put there to live there. And there are lots of factors that you might not even have thought of that are going to affect things and could potentially harm your little baby plants. That's hardening off. It's just the process of slowly getting them used to a new environment. So right now, if your little plants are in a protected environment, you want to put them outdoors. There are a few things they need to get used to. And the one that people forget about is the amount of sunlight they're going to get. So that's the number one thing. Your plants have a protective coating on their leaves that protect them from the harsh realities of being outside when it's really sunny and really warm. But when they're little baby plants like this that have been brought on in a protected environment, like indoors, or even in a greenhouse with shades down and what have you, the coating on those leaves doesn't fully form and they're quite soft still, quite delicate. It's really, to be honest, it's a bit like me when spring comes. I spend all winter wrapped up indoors, so when the sun comes, I get a bit pink. Your little plants are the same. If you put them out straight away into that harsh sunlight, even when you don't think it's particularly harsh, these little guys can get burned and damaged, and it can just really stunt them and put them back, and put all that effort you've made into keeping them alive and healthy goes to waste. But it's not just that. Right now, you can see, in a nice protected environment, there's pretty much no wind they have to contest with. So they're quite flimsy and weak, shall we say, compared to an outdoor plant. So we don't want to just put them out where suddenly there's going to be lots of strong winds coming from all sorts of directions, as opposed to maybe just that fan you've got going in their seedling unit. So we're going to have to get them used to that as well, so that they've got a chance to build up a strong root system and a strong stem to hold them stable against those winds. And then there's the obvious. The temperatures are obviously going to be very different. So I don't want to just put these guys out suddenly from cosy, warm, safe, perfect into, oh boy, is it a bit chilly today. So that's why we want to do this process of hardening off. And we do it slowly over time of maybe a week to 2 weeks. And we do it like this. Today is the perfect day to start this off. Because remember I spoke about sunlight? Well, today is really overcast. So there's a lot of cloud cover that's protecting all of my little plants. It's a diffused light today. So it's a good day to start this process. And I've looked at the weather reports because you guys know I'm a bit of a weather geek and I have my own weather station. And I know for the next couple of weeks, we're going to get lots of days where it's like this. So it's the perfect time for me to get this going. But I'm not just putting them out and abandoning them. No. I'm putting these little guys out early morning because that's when it's cooler and there's less likely to be a lot of sunlight. And like I say, there's a lot of cloud cover, so it's nice and protected for them. And I'm putting them out here because this bit is sheltered from the wind. So although they're going to get their first experience of having wind that's moving them around from all directions, it's not going to be super strong yet because I want them to get time to build up their strength. Now, I'm only putting them out for short periods of time to get them used to things, and I'll gradually increase that as we go. So I might only have them out here today for half an hour, and then I'll put them back into the little safe spots. And then tomorrow we'll do the same thing again, and I'll increase that time period just a little bit. And I'll carry on and I'll do this every day, increasing that time period just a little bit. And the idea of that is they're going to get more time outdoors in the outdoor environment with the light, with the winds that are moving them around, with the fluctuations in temperature. So, the mornings when it's quite cool, but once they're out for a few hours, those temperatures are going to start to climb, and your little plants are going to learn to adjust to that, because they have their own inbuilt mechanisms where they cope with those types of things. And then once I think they've been out for a little bit in this nice sheltered spot where they're not getting too much wind, too much sunlight, etc., then I'll move them to slightly less sheltered spot. Remember I was saying it's the whole gradual acclimatisation? So I'll move them to a different spot in the garden that gets just a little bit more sunlight, is exposed to just a little bit more of the wind, and changes in temperature. It's still little and often. The idea being that you've got these little plants out here over that course of time, from a short period of time, like half an hour to an hour. You're building it up so that by the end of that week to 2 weeks, your plants have been out all day. Now's a good time for me to remind you that if you love this sort of stuff, sow a little love on that like button, because when you sow, we grow. So if you're now all excited to start getting your plants ready for the outdoors, it's important that you think about the little and often. And before you jump in and have a look at your plant, do you think they're strong and healthy and ready to go outdoors? Or do you want to wait a week or 2 weeks and keep judging it that way? And then, when you are going to jump in, pick a sheltered spot in the garden. Protect them from too much strong wind, too much light and everything straight away. Take your time before you move them to the less sheltered spots. There's no rush. And then, once they've been out all day and they're looking like they're loving it, you can start thinking about getting them out in the garden. And hopefully that will help you guys have an absolute bumper of a garden this year, with heaps of veggies and flowers and fruit and everything perfect. So I have to be brave now and go away and leave my little guys out for the first day outdoors. Okay, I'm off. Hope that was fun, guys. And if you want some more useful stuff, what about trying this one next? Because if you haven't cleaned and sharpened all your garden tools, shame on you. Get it done. I'll see you next week, guys.